This is MC Fireside Chats, a weekly show devoted to the outdoor hospitality industry, hosted by Brian Searle and Kara Sismadia. You'll hear from special guests that focus on topics to help your business succeed, all backed by Modern Campground, the most innovative news source in the industry.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of MC Fireside Chats. My name is Brian Searle with Insider Perks, here as always with Kara Sismadia from the Canadian Camping and RV Council. Super excited to have our normal kind of campground owner-focused show here, minus a couple campground owners who are in Tampa for the Florida RV show, who had, unfortunately, some emergencies where they couldn't join us. We hope everything is well with those people. But we do have Duncan Winship here, who's a normal guest from Papoose Pond. And we have a special guest, Andrew Garcia, who's kind of just breaking into the business, but also already owns 2 campgrounds. So I already feel like he's kind of a veteran. And he's going to talk us through some of his story, how he got into the business, some of his future plans and stuff like that. And then who knows where we'll go from there. We're going to talk a little bit about the Canadian Camping and RV Council's virtual conference that's coming up here in, about a month, Kara? Something like that?
Yeah, just under a month. The timeline is flying by. But it's coming together. We'll be virtual again this year for 2023 and have lots of people registered already to attend, and building out a great agenda and some great sponsors coming in the door already. So it's coming together.
All right, well, we'll dive into that and see what kind of exciting things and topics and sessions are happening. So I'm excited to hear about that. And then maybe if we run out of time, we'll just talk about AI, because that seems to be my focus for this year. And maybe I can blow some of your minds about some efficiencies that you can do around your campground with technology that is free and exists today already. And I feel like you're on the right path, Kara, with your virtual conference. Maybe by the time 2024 comes around, we'll all just have like VR headsets on and be attending conferences. We can actually feel each other shaking their hand. I don't know. It's probably too early and too ambitious for that. But
yeah, I think we need a bit of time for that. We are maybe the dynamic here in Canada is a little bit different. We're really just getting back to in-person stuff here, so there's a big appetite to do that. So I think we need a couple of those under our belt to refresh the handshakes we haven't had for a while yet.
Yeah, I'm super excited for that. I don't think I ever want to really attend a conference in VR, but it's fascinating to imagine some of the possibilities that will exist out there, though.
Sure. Well, and we do have lots of attendees and members and stuff who prefer it virtual, who get that feedback regularly. So, they are out there. There's a demographic that wants it for sure.
Well, and you can kind of fit in with all the crowds too if it's virtual, right? So like, here's a hypothesis. You're at the hotel bar and you want to network, but you don't drink. If you're in VR, you could just pretend to do a shot and they wouldn't really know any different, right? And then you would fit in with the crowd. You could network with more people. So there's benefits. We just have to imagine our minds and think of them.
Always thinking outside the box, Brian. That's good.
So, okay. Well, let's start with Andrew Garcia from Outdoor Venture Group. Is that right, Andrew?
Yep. Outdoor Venture Partners.
You want to just introduce yourself. Tell us who Outdoor Venture Partners is. Take it away.
Sure. And thanks for having me, guys. Super excited to be here. Like you said, we're early in our venture, or early into our campground ownership journey. But my partner and I formed Outdoor Venture Partners at the end of 2021. We were both coming from the Wall Street side of the business. I was an investment banker up in New York, spending time, kind of across your real estate industries, but had the last few years started to focus on campgrounds, spent time with Campgrounds of America, Sun Communities, Equity Lifestyle Properties, some of the larger players in the industry, and really liked what we saw, right? So we were familiar with the sector on the capital market side, and call it outdoor recreation broadly, has always been a passion of mine. And we saw the opportunity to blend work and personal passion. So we formed Outdoor Venture Partners in November. Already had our first site that we wanted to go after kind of in our targets, and it started conversations there. So we closed on that the day before Thanksgiving, much to the chagrin of my wife. And that was our first property. So that's Wilderness Cove out in Western Carolina. And then we found our second deal and closed on that. It's 333 Fish Camp in Central Florida, Crescent City. And now we're on the run. We're off to the races. We've got our third deal we're hoping to announce in the coming weeks, and really just starting to get our feet under us. But we got a lot of exciting stuff going on, and we love the industry. We love what we're doing, and looking forward to continuing to do it.
So I'm curious, and I kind of have the same question for every group that we either talk to on here or I talk to by email or whatever else, right? There's so many of you now who have gotten into this in really the last 5 to 7 years, but obviously it was dramatically accelerated during COVID and those kinds of things. What do you look for from your group's perspective when you're out there trying to purchase a camper? And I'm not saying give me away any of your secrets or that you're confident deal, right? But there's obviously something that some people prefer lake, some people prefer mountains, some people prefer always sunny all year.
Sure. So we, I think a lot of folks maybe take this angle or this approach, but we're focused on facilitating access to high quality outdoor recreation, right? That could be fishing, that could be mountains, that could be desert, that could be ocean, it could be beaches. But we're looking to basically activate high quality outdoor recreation and provide, comfortable accommodations, and facilitate access for folks, right, that are looking to get out there and do stuff. And that's kind of it's turned into a hybrid model. We do everything from your traditional RV campgrounds. We do glamping. We'll do marinas, outdoor entertainment venues. We'll kind of look at anything, and it ends up being kind of a hybrid model, right? So our western and seaside has glamping. It's got primitive camps. We have a single family home that's kind of your regular way Airbnb. We have RV pads, but it sits at the entrance to 18,000 acres of game preserve and state forest. And it's got 1,000 feet of river frontage on the Green River, which is kind of a lesser known, but really, really cool river that runs south of Asheville. And it's got 8 class 5 rapids, 9 class 4 rapids, really, really good fly fishing. It's a beautiful river. You've got excellent mountain scenery, 30 plus miles of hiking and biking trails. It's just kind of an outdoor recreation paradise. And there wasn't much in terms of accommodations in the area, right? So that's really what we're looking to activate.
Okay.
I'm curious to know about the transition, what it looks like when you first buy a park these first couple of months. How does that work? Are they just kind of hand you the keys and walk out, the old guys, or what's the deal?
Pretty much.
Old. That's a stereotype.
I meant old, like previous, not technically old. We don't age shame here.
Yeah, and look, that's pretty much what happened. And I'll say it took us a little while to get our feet under us from the ops side. Both my partner and I were familiar with the business. Call it 20,000 foot view, your kind of capital markets, your capital markets knowledge. And, we understood the business, general operations. We really understood it from the real estate side of the house. But on the operation side, it's kind of been figuring it out, right? Kind of getting the word out there, figuring out, continuing to work with our dedicated guests that have been coming to and enjoying the parks we bought for years, and then finding new guests, right? And figuring out what they were looking for. So again, I'll mention Wilderness Cove because we're a little bit further along the western and seaside, but we kept hearing from folks, hey, we want pop-up camping, we want RV pads, we want food on site. So we took an old school bus and converted that to a commercial kitchen. We're going to be serving hot food on site. We're in the process of installing new RV pads. And then there was some feedback from families that, hey, it's easier with young kids if we've got, a home that's kind of more contained and off, that's off and easier to kind of, keep an eye on everybody. So we incorporated the adjacent single family home property and have that in the mix as a rental now. And we're really just looking to, kind of be what folks need us to be, honestly.
How is the staffing front?
That's been interesting. And look, that's something else that it's a learning process, right? Work campers has been like the holy grail for us. There's an excellent network of work campers. It's kind of growing every day, it feels like. And if you can find folks that are kind of into what you're offering at a specific site, I think the kind of sky's the limit, right? Because you've got great people that are familiar with the industry, that have inevitably spent time in numerous parks, and really know the biz. And they're there 24 hours a day, which is a great thing, especially if you're talking about a remote location. So that's kind of been our saving grace, honestly. And then it's us just kind of getting our feet under us from the ops side, and figuring everything out. Because, each of our sites is a little different. Usually based on the type of outdoor recreation we're looking to facilitate. But again, Wilderness Cove will do everything from tubing, kayak rentals. We're doing belly yaks, which are like you whitewater kayaking on your stomach, which is pretty cool and crazy. Fishing and hiking, everything, mountain climbing, spelunking, like kind of everything under the sun. But the other property is more fishing oriented, and we were lucky enough to purchase the site from a major league fisherman. He's on the Major League Pro Tour, and he kind of plugged us into that industry. And it's on a really cool lake in Central Florida called Crescent Lake. They call themselves the bass capital of the world, but it really does have just amazing bass fishing. And there's a variety of other fish that are out there as well. But bass fishing is kind of the game, and we're able to get plugged into that kind of Major League Fishing Pro network. We've got a Major League Fishing Pro on staff that serves as a charter captain. He stocks our bait and tackle store. He does fishing reports for folks that are interested in coming to the site. So, kind of a wide variety of stuff, but it's been interesting on the staffing side, to say the least. Yeah.
Well, and I think what you'll find, and I'm sure Duncan will back me up here, is that, it does take some time to get your ops and things underneath you. But after about a year, really, Duncan just comes to the show every week and is on vacation and sits on a beach the rest of the time. And I feel like that's what most campground owners do. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's exactly it. Most campground owners just, set it off, never check in, never see how things are going.
Mm-hmm.
None of that stuff. They just run themselves with no issues in any way, shape, or form.
Ever.
I really don't know why I'm not a campground owner yet. It seems so easy. Anyway, what do you think about all this, Duncan? All these people getting into the business and trying to find different.
I think it's outstanding. I like all the new blood, the new ideas, the new energy. It's really, really going to push this industry in a fantastic direction. Knowing what your niche is, knowing what your market is, knowing what people want, and listening to your guests is just outstanding. I mean, that's really what's going to propel you moving forward. It being, like us, we're very family oriented. We got an antique carousel. We do the kayaks, that kind of stuff, because that's the lake that's kind of behind us, but that's what they ask us for. Buildings, whatever the rental, item is, that continues to see incredible demand, but also, pads or some weird hybrid in between, like what we have where like they're RV pads, but they have their own private bathroom on them. So there's lots and lots of weird space out there right now. And if you keep your head on a swivel, there's lots of opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And Duncan, I don't want to alarm you, but your chair appears to be disappearing behind you, so don't fall or anything. I want to make sure you're safe for the show.
Safety first.
But yeah, I mean, and this is what we, at Insider Perks, I was telling Andrew before the show, we do marketing for some of these larger groups who are just coming into the industry and some who have been here a long time. And it's just fascinating from my perspective to kind of hear their stories, why they got into the business, what are the specific types of assets they're looking for. And then once they have those assets, what are they going to do with them? Like you were talking about, Andrew, is it going to be a everything to everyone? Is it going to be a, based on your location? Is it going to be a mix of all those things? And so I just like hearing the stories and seeing how people, especially how they change over the years, right? Because they come in with one kind of mindset and maybe it stays the same, but quite often it doesn't. And sometimes it works. Most of the time it works out for the better that they change their mind.
Yeah, you bring me back in 6 months, I might be singing a different tune, but we'll see.
Yeah, I was going to say, oftentimes the market dictates those choices for you. You might have an idea that you want the park to look and feel a certain way, but unless your guests buy into that, it may not be the right thing. It's sometimes less about how you feel about your property and your business and your park, and more about, what the market wants.
So what have you seen, Kara, from Canadian groups trying to get into this space?
We're seeing lots of groups like Andrew's, starting to buy up 1 or 2 or 3 properties, and being very strategic about where those properties are located, the kinds of natural environments they have to offer. Those groups are very, very strategic, and they've got some dollars behind them to allow them to be that way. Which is, I agree completely with Duncan. I think it's a great opportunity for the industry just to kind of elevate across the board and continue to kind of keep things a little bit competitive and everyone motivated to, be the best they can possibly be in terms of offering really unique experiences and setting themselves apart. It's one of the best, in my opinion, the best features of the industry as a whole is, unlike hotels and things like that, who kind of they're pretty stuck in a fairly small box in terms of experience offering. Outdoor hospitality, the sky really is the limit. I saw, Brian, your post on LinkedIn about those really whimsical RVs.
Oh, the Toyland thing, yeah.
Yeah, I mean those kinds of things are doable in an RV park or resort setting, and it's really we're really just limited by, well, resources are a factor for sure, but imagination in this industry. And so we are seeing a shift here in Canada. I do think we're a little bit behind you guys in terms of some things. I saw the other day there's a fully automated park opened in the States that has no staff on
Georgia.
One, is it Duncan?
Yeah, there's a couple now that are open.
Yeah.
And I would be really curious from a operational standpoint how that will continue to progress.
Yeah,
mainly
especially
because I think there's operational challenges without a human body there that you may run into. You may find that you'll have it a more frequent touch point than it will be completely autonomous for 6 months at a time.
Right.
I think you'll run into, but I also think that it's a great idea because you don't have a lot of
labor costs,
operational knowledge loss when you have turnover. When you have someone who moves on to something bigger and better, the system is plug and play a little bit. So it'll be fascinating to see what role that fits versus like what you're talking about, like hotels. And hotels are kind of stuck in one style. I think you'll start to see really a gradation between the two and start seeing a lot more gray, especially when we talk about Airbnbs and glamping and where it will start to blend into each other. And I'll be curious to see if there's any true mixed use spaces where you'll find something that has a hotel, has a giant, amenities for guests, and includes some of the higher end RV pads that we're seeing rolling out.
My favorite campground here in Alberta, Sundance Lodges, was just purchased by a hotel group that owns, I think, 8 or 10 hotel properties here. And it sounds like they have some interesting ideas for that park. So it's happening.
Let's explore this. Like, this is fascinating to me, right? Let's explore this briefly. Automation at RV parks, right? Because again, none of us have really researched this, but we know what we've come across and we've seen, and some of the tech, Duncan, that you've seen we've seen at the different shows, right? We were both at IAPA, for example. How does this? What are some ideas that we have for an automated park? Why? First of all, let's start here, Duncan. Why wouldn't it work step by step? Let's see if we can address each step with an idea.
Well, some of the holes that you could punch into it. I think groundskeeping is where you're going to run into some of those issues. You're going to have.
I have an answer to that. Let's take it step by step.
Yeah,
right?
So all right. So I got to find holes, and you're going to try to find a solution. Okay. So groundskeeping,
or Kara can, or Andrew can.
Yeah, I think we can all figure it out. We can brainstorm it out. My concern would probably be pets and pet byproducts, and even with live people on the ground to try to help abate that. I think if there's no real person there, then you can run into issues that way. The lack of facilities, like certain states require X amount of facilities in a overnight RV park stay. Like, for example, here in Maine, you have to have a bathroom, you have to have showers, otherwise you are not a campground and you will not receive a license. So then you have the challenge of cleaning them and having to be done. I mean, can you do it like a automated car wash and a giant pressure stream just blows the whole thing and sprays hot water, cold water, all that stuff everywhere? Maybe. I mean, I'm not an engineer,
that's
but
actually not a bad idea, because I was going to like it doesn't solve the problem, but the Roomba model type for commercial cleaning, right? But it doesn't do around the toilets and inside the bowl and things like that.
You have to have a big circular room with a drain in the middle of the floor or something.
Yeah.
Not
maybe
really
something
a
like that.
terrible
Like
idea,
high
though,
pressure
Duncan.
jets.
It really
Because
isn't.
hopefully it doesn't come on while you're using it.
Yeah, seriously.
No.
Well, what about like minor maintenance,
Multi-purpose
people
shower
running
thing
weird-
too, all in one unit.
Think about all the day-to-day issues, though, right? Somebody pulling their RV into one of your pedestals, somebody running over your landscaping. I think after a month or 2 months of nobody being out there to actually monitor day-to-day minor maintenance and repairs, I think you might be bumping into some real issues.
Well, I think there's a couple things here, right? And I don't want to interrupt you. I just want to take this chunk by chunk so we can address this, because we can give a whole list of what's wrong, and then maybe we won't come back to maybe potential solutions or ideas that could work in the future. And so if you look at, I think bathrooms maybe is I don't know how that gets solved, right? Obviously, I don't think anything's really, when you say autonomous, does it always have to mean nobody checks in on it? Because I feel like there's security cameras where somebody could be watching that, and it still can be an autonomous park. I think there can probably be somebody who's hired to say like once a month or once every 2 weeks, like I do at my house, right? I hire a cleaning person to come in and at least make sure everything's not crazy damaged. But I've also been watching in a security camera, so I know if I need to step in or something like that. So I think it's a step toward autonomous. I don't think you're ever going to remove human beings from the equation. Well,
I mean, I could see it eventually getting there. I see the challenge of like anybody who's new to RVing. So say you're taking it out for the first time and you decide to pull into a place like this where there's nobody home, which I don't think anyone's currently recommending you do that. Really, this is like targeted towards someone who has a lot of experience with RVing. But you foolishly pull in and you have no idea how to hook up, plug in, do anything. And then it ends up being dependent upon your neighbors, which, a lot of times they're fantastic people. Like some of the RVing and them as individuals are just really awesome in assisting each other. But there's no one there to give you any kind of customer service. Yes, so what videos, yes, there's YouTube, but if you don't know how to do it, you don't know how to do it.
If you set expectations for this in the booking process, that's very clear, right? Obviously, some people are going to ignore it. Some people are going to read it. I know that argument, right? But if you set expectations in the booking process, this is a fully automated campground. If you wish to stay here, then you must know how to do your own hookups, how to do this.
But again, like they're not going to read it, and then when they show up,
some people won't.
What's the percentage of that? Like, how often does that really happen then?
People
like
don't
in real life.
If it's less than 1% of your total overnight stays, then it's really a rounding error at that point in time.
Right.
That 1% of your stays that read it is what you're saying?
No, 1% of your stays have these issues that we're outlining.
Right.
99% of them pull in, plug in, spend the night, and then roll out first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree with you. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So as long as you have that little human touch to back you up, like a warning security system or even some kind of a sensor, right? If you're experienced in RV parks and you look at where typically people cut corners too soon or roll their tires over the sites or hit the pedestals, if there's some kind of sensor that says alert, somebody just bumped into a pedestal, and it sends somebody a thing on their phone so they can check the security camera and see if it's something they need to pay attention to.
Yeah. And it also just causes, you to change your layout for your next one. Eventually you get to efficiencies of how you have it built, because this thing is they're not super organic in how they're done and designed. A lot of times it's a DC-10 and asphalt.
Yeah.
So
I think for me as an operator, where I foresee issues are things like noise at night, conflict between guests, scenarios where maybe you have a per site capacity, but someone pulls in with 10 people in their RV, like how are you going to even know? You're not there. So those things
I think some of the way that they combat that is that there is nothing there. There's no playground. There's no bathhouse.
No fun.
There's no fire pits. There's no swings. There's no
And the price
community
point is
space.
very high too, as we
Yeah, it's
saw in the one we
expensive.
just launched.
Mm-hmm.
So you cut out that kind of lower tier market. I mean, I think
Right.
eventually, yeah, there's going to need to be again a combination of security cameras, and one day, I don't know, have a robot that patrols the thing with little sleeping darts.
I mean, that's
This is
a
your first
little
warning.
doggy with
Your
the camera
second
on
warning
top and a
will
speaker.
result in you being put to sleep until morning.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I mean,
Shoot the dart
there's
in
a
your
bunch of options that you really see moving into it. I mean, you see the automated vending machines that
Yeah.
are open 24 hours a day, and you
They
can
make
load
pizza, they
anything
make
you
ice
want in
cream.
them. Oh, the ice cream one we saw at IAPA, that was pretty wild. They got a pizza one coming out that I have a lot of interest in.
I still
You
want
know?
that little claw machine that grabs the liquor bottles, but that probably wouldn't work automated because you really wouldn't want people partying.
Yeah,
No.
no, you got to audit that. You got to at least ID.
Yeah. Listen, I still think there's going to be that segment of the market that wants a personalized guest experience, but for sure, I think there's a demographic
Hey, but
that's
see, here's what you're missing though.
interested.
There's a difference between personalized and human. You can get
I
very,
disagree.
very personalized with technology.
No.
Yeah, I mean, like
disagree.
I went to one of the big sporting events, one of the football sporting events. They had an automated bar system, and it took your credit card, it took your
Mhm.
photo ID, and used your facial recognition. And
Mhm.
so the first time I went up to the machine, it asked what I wanted to drink, had a whole bunch of cocktail options, that kind of thing. Ordered one, and then when I went back the second time, it said, "Do you want this again, or do you want something different?" I just said yes. It dispensed it, and I was out of the way within 35 seconds.
Right.
And back to watching the football game, which is really what I wanted to do.
Yeah,
And also
for sure.
remember, if it's automated, you can do those things. Like we used to do this. We still do for some people. Carrie, you use Smart Waiver still, right? For CCRVC,
Mhm.
that you can set up those kiosks. And this, not saying it's Smart Waiver, but something similar, where it does take a picture of the guests when they check in. It makes them scan their driver's license. It records
Yeah.
their license plate for security. And then if they do anything to your park, you've got their license. You have their address. You have their license plate. And that helped. I'm not saying that's always going to solve the problem, but at least that gives the police a head start.
There's tools and assistants out there to really grow what you're doing. How do you keep guests safe? How do you give them what they want? And how do you make it easier for them? Like if you have a
Mhm.
bunch of guests who are staying more long term, or they stay for the whole season, and you have the ability to integrate facial recognition for them in their store, your cafe, your boat livery, or your snack whatever, all those locations, I feel like you'd get a fair amount of adoption on that. So instead of having to go up to the kiosk, make sure you have it on there, you just walk up, grab what you want, and scan your face, and away you go. Really
and part
add
of
some
that is-
efficiencies.
Part of the hesitancy that everybody will tell you is, well, I don't want people scanning my face. But as TSA releases this at airports, as you have it more at bars, at sports, it's going to become more commonplace, and people
They're
are more
already scanning your face. It's
Oh yeah, if you have a passport or a real ID, your face has already been scanned. And
They've
you're already
also
in the
been
database.
scanning your face with Face ID for 5 years already. They have your face.
Yeah.
You carry around a tracking device with you almost everywhere you
Yeah.
go, and the
They got your
individuals
face.
who do not.
What do you think about all this, Andrew? You have new business ideas, or you think we're nuts?
Well, I'm going to go check out this automated park. I think it's in Tifton, Georgia, and I'm heading down 75.
Awesome.
I'm in Atlanta, so I'm heading down 75 next week to go down to our Florida park, and I'm going to check it out on my way. I think it's pretty cool, and I think we talked about labor earlier. That's an issue. It's not an issue, but it's a challenge.
Sure.
Challenge is probably not going anywhere, right? Especially as we see the industry continue to grow. So, automating where you can, it's probably the future. Kind of figuring out how you balance experiences and how to do that in the right way is pretty important. I see it working at more of like your transient travel oriented parks,
Shorter
not
term stay,
like destination oriented, resort style campgrounds. I think you probably bump into some more issues there, especially when there are kids running around and the liability. Travel park, and I think that's what this one in Tifton is. It's right off of 75. You kind of pull in, pull out, super simple, not too many bells and whistles. It's pretty cool. I think it makes a lot of sense. I'm sure these guys are.
I think I have a great idea. Kara, tell me Andrew, if you're willing to participate in this, tell me. I think, when did you say you're going to the Tifton, Georgia one?
Next week. I'm just going to stop on my way to my other
You should
side.
stop on your way there on a Wednesday during our show next week, and we should do a live test with you where you try to bump into things at the campground and see if anybody
Oh no.
I've got a
You'll
rental
get it.
car right now, so I might be willing to-
Perfect.
Okay,
It would be
Facial
such
recognition.
great entertainment, right?
sure.
You just walk up and I'm just gonna lightly kick this electric pedestal and then just look
See what
around and
happens.
see if anybody like alarms or sirens go off or
I really am
anybody
Yeah.
so curious. I mean, if I go in and they realize I'm not staying, am I going to be stuck and the police are on
Yeah,
their
You
way?
won't
I
even
think
Right?
your
be
money is
allowed
good
in.
as anybody else's.
Yeah, they'll take your dollars. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you'd have to give it dollars to get in. That's the thing. I think there's probably
Yeah.
a date. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to book online. You have to have a reservation before you go in. And if you just pull in without one, there's like a pull-off area where it gives you instructions on how to do it. And I
Nice.
think that they spent a lot of time on their signage to really curate what they need the guests to do to make it work.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think, as we see this grow, the guests will get more and more used to it. And so there will be less
Right. I mean,
hurdle with that
I
stuff.
don't know what their guest experience is, but if you're talking about reserving online in advance, just like you would do at like a long-term parking garage at the airport when we go leave in Calgary, right? If you
Mhm.
get a QR code, you just pop up and scan it, and the gate opens, and you're in.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah, I think it's very
that's
similar
ultimately what
technology
people
as that.
want, is convenience. That's what everybody wants.
I don't know about everybody. I caution this saying everybody. I
I didn't
personally,
say everybody wants tech. I said everybody wants convenience.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You want to be inconvenienced?
I
You want to
don't
make it
I don't
harder.
know
You
that
want
everyone
it to be more
No.
pain points.
No, I don't know that everyone lists convenience as higher on the list than any other
I
factor.
bet you if you gave them an example to solve whatever problem they were having, they would choose convenience every single time.
I don't
think
know.
it's a
I know
yes
some
and. It's a
right,
yes and type of thing. It's yes, I want
ideally,
convenience,
but not at the
and
cost
I
of
want.
well,
Right, but it's how
for-
that convenience. Sorry, Kara, I don't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, I personally know several campers who would rather interact with staff and deal with
Of course
humans.
you would.
And
But like
I
Duncan's
also
saying,
know
that's the
lots,
1%, or maybe the 5% now. But
I
it's
don't
going
know.
to.
But
They
I
want it to
also
be
know lots of
convenient.
people who refuse to go through this self-checkout line at the grocery store because they
Right.
want
So
to
this
keep the
is
humans in
this is the
their
next
job.
argument, right? I hate the self-checkout store thing at the store too because it sucks.
It doesn't
Right.
work.
Designed as a haphazard method.
It's always
Understand and recognize when you're picking up bags and when you put down an item and when you press the button. It sucks. And of
Mhm.
course consumers don't like that because in most cases, even though it's billed as convenience, it's not actually convenient.
right.
Because
Yeah,
the human
have any of you been in the Amazon quick stop stores where there's not even a cashier? You just grab, walk out, and it charges?
I
Yeah.
haven't, but I've read.
Yeah, how
Okay,
does that
go
work? Does that work well? No.
No.
One experience you have to register in advance, and
Mhm.
I ended up shoplifting by accident. So I kind of went back in there and brought my stuff back in. I realized I hadn't paid for it. I think it's better now. This is pretty early, and I haven't gone back. I haven't gone back since that. So
Well, but you're also seeing like places like international airports and stuff where it's like a walkthrough. You go in, they find you. You just need to have your credit card on your person, and you just pick up whatever you want, and it just automatically charges you for what you walk out with.
That's what they're doing at TSA security too, with the facial
Yeah.
recognition they're going to launch with Delta.
Yeah, but
Right.
I
Those
think
things to me.
Kara's point and to Brian's point, you're both saying the same thing.
Mhm.
You're just looking for the same solution. Guests who want to go in and interact with your staff are doing it for the interaction. They're not doing it because it's mandatory. If you make it convenient and you make it what they want it to be, you want to get in. I want to get to the site. I want to get set up. I want to have my chairs. I want everything to be all set. And I can have my first soda of my camping trip right out the gate. And I don't want to do it versus someone who's maybe this is like their 12th trip and they know me personally and they want to say hello. And that's part of their experience and part of their convenience is to be able to walk in, ask for someone in our staff who's maybe been there for a few years, have that personal connection, and then go set up. It's the same thing.
Right. But it's also why Papoose Pond will always exist with Duncan, and there will also be an automated park for the other people. It's never
Or there'll be
gonna
automation at Papoose, and you can go in and talk to somebody if you want, or you
Well,
can
yeah,
just drive to your site.
But it's going to be a hybrid. I'll give you a perfect example. It's like I had this debate with somebody, I can't remember who the other day, where they were talking about, we were looking at I don't know if you remember 4 or 5 years ago, Duncan, where Google did that demo of that automated thing calling and making a hair appointment for a lady, and it was really smooth and it hummed, it paused. Do you remember that, Kara?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it was like 4 or 5 years ago. But so I was having this conversation with somebody who wasn't aware of that, but she was basically saying, well, nobody wants to talk to a robot when they call customer service. And nobody really wants to, they always want to talk to a human. I said, yes, for the same argument I'm talking about now. Because when you call that robot, the stupid phone tree sucks. It doesn't get you to where you want. It doesn't hear what you want to say. It doesn't route your call the right way. And then when it gets there, it doesn't even pass along the half hour of information you've been feeding it to the agent who answers the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that you like that is because the phone agent is still more helpful than that robot. But then for me, like, I'll get to a customer service agent and, I have to transfer you to this department. I can't help you with this. You'll need to email these people. What if you had an AI you could talk to, like the Google thing, that could actually interact with all of the systems at all of the company and had access to all of the support tickets and all the resolutions of the entire history and could do anything that you wanted in 30 seconds to get you off the phone? You better believe people would want to talk to a robot then.
It's going to get there.
What we're saying is we just aren't there yet. All these.
I think we're a year away from customer service agents like that.
Like 20 years ago, computers won chess. There's not a human on the planet who can beat a computer now at chess.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think there's one, right?
In the last 5 years,
I heard there's one. Isn't there one?
He beat that supercomputer.
Yeah, he did.
At one game out of like 15.
And you're talking about there's a big difference between a supercomputer who can calculate chess and an AI who can think and know all the chess games and all the history of all the people and all the moves.
Where an AI can write a college level paper on any subject.
Okay, we're going to dive into this. We're going to dive into this and show this, but I want to talk about the
conference. We were playing with that the other day for blog posts. It was pretty interesting. One more thing. What about rules, though? Is this going to be like ruthless enforcement of campground rules, which we all know
are be a Terminator robot?
Well, it depends on the level of the AI.
You're 5 minutes late to your check-in, you're out of luck. I mean, come on. I don't know if that works, right?
There's a level
as
of
the
humanity.
AI gets more data points and more sample points, it would start making that decision.
Mm-hmm.
So fuzzy logic, huh?
Well, that's what AI is fuzzy logic.
Yeah.
But the benefit of, and again, I'll show you a couple examples of this in a second. But the benefit of that is the AI knows you can train it on whatever data set you want. So you can take an automated park and you can train it and say, here are my rules, here are my processes, here's how you should react in this situation, all the things that it needs to know, so that it will respond the exact way you need to, but it'll also have a whole library of customer service interactions and how to solve problems and how to do this and how to de-escalate situations. And it's going to be so much smarter.
And the more feedback you give it, the better job it will do. Like if you go back and audit what it did previously and you're like, this is a 100 out of 100 experience. This is a 70 out of 100 experience. This is a 5 out of 100 experience.
Andrew is skeptical, but we need to get to the conference, and then we'll make Andrew not a skeptic anymore. I promise.
I don't know because
I question the full automation. I think 100%. There are numerous functions that automation.
There are definitely still challenges to automation.
Totally.
I think as we've seen, you can get 99% of the way there.
Mm-hmm.
As a futurist, I agree.
What about security too? Sometimes you feel alone in these rural locations, and people are.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like we've already, and we keep cutting Kara's time off here, but when I say robots, I'm not joking. Like Tesla has invented their robot that's kind of clumsy so far. There are plenty of humanoid style robots, and when I show you this conversation interface that I'm about to show you, it's not far from just loading that as a voice assistant into a robot to be able to talk to people.
Yeah, like the little doggy robots that run around now that can open doors, they can do all kinds of craziness.
And the security guards, robot security guards, night something. I can't remember.
It's like you heard about that hitchhiking robot, right?
Oh yeah, the one but somebody destroyed it, didn't they?
Yeah, in Philadelphia. Just completely ruined it. So, you have your robot security dog, and then next thing you know, you find it in a dumpster.
Well, but again, that's what you got security cameras and other methods in place. But anyway, Kara, go ahead, and then we'll pivot back to AI specifically is what I want to talk about, how it would integrate with this stuff. So, Kara, the Canadian Camping and RV Council is having their third virtual conference coming up here in about a month. Tell us a little bit about what's going on, some of the education you have planned, and the cool things.
Okay. What a pivot.
It's
Yeah.
important. It's virtual. It's still tech.
Sure. And, it's interesting, Brian and I were talking about delivering some of these education sessions using some AI support too. So it does kind of fit. But anyways, yes, we've announced our third annual conference. We were kind of on the fence about in-person or virtual for this year. So that was kind of a very tough decision for our board, but we're full steam ahead here for virtual, just with our short timeline. That's kind of how we're rolling now. We've got 2 full days, February 15th and 16th, of education conference content ranging from all kinds of things specific to tech and automations and all of that, but also, the basics and touching on some important topics that members and attendees have suggested to us. We sent out a survey after last year's event and then again prior to this one, just looking for feedback. And so we've used those survey results to really build out our education session agenda. We have some cool keynote session stuff planned. We'll actually be doing 2 main stage sessions each day, just because we've got some interesting topics, specifically around this big shift to EVs and the implications for the campground industry specific to that. We've got, again, an important update from the Tourism Industry Association of Canada and a couple of our government representatives happening on the main stage. We'll be doing 3 session tracks this year instead of 4. We'll do a business basics track, a stay informed track, and an industry innovations track. Agenda is building out. There's some great speakers confirmed already, but lots more to come still on that front. Obviously, we'll be showcasing kind of what the association is working on and how it can benefit members and their businesses, but also tons of awesome stuff. We'll hear from Brian on some marketing things. Definitely, I'm hoping he'll do a good deep dive specific to automations and things like that for one of his sessions. So I'm really excited. I think, overall the last 2 years were incredibly successful. We have received nothing but good feedback about the education content and sessions. And I have to shout out to CampSpot for coming back as title sponsor. The virtual dynamic for our suppliers is not the easiest, and we're very cognizant of that. So, it's incredibly important to us that our sponsors see the value in continuing to educate Canadian campground owners. And actually, we've got some American registrants as well. So if you're interested, join us. But those sponsors realizing how great the event is in terms of helping the campground industry continue to grow and be really successful, and change and innovate over time, with obviously so much shifting in the industry right now.
I think you've also reminded me too, and I want to ask definitely some questions about, what was your focus on education this year specifically for your members? But we also want to, I keep forgetting, Firefly Reservations is the sponsor for this episode of MC
Awesome.
Fireside Chats. And I put them in the social posts and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of covering up Duncan here. But we're super grateful for them. They run a great reservation system for campground owners. I think they're just kind of evolving their platform and making a more modern experience. And so if you're in the market for something like that, be sure to check them out. We really appreciate their support for this episode. But talk a little bit about your education thoughts process, right? Because it differs from year to year based on what your members want, right? So where was some of your big focus this year?
For sure. I think the biggest feedback we got was really around this shift. We saw a really successful couple of years in this industry, the past 2, and so ways to maintain that longevity is really important. Maintain that success for into the future, as the world is reopened and people can travel and experience things in different ways. How do we keep our campgrounds really competitive in that environment? But then for sure, more than any other year, there is a huge appetite for attention to these technological advancements and how they're impacting the industry. Certainly the EV requirements, the electric component shifts in how we're manufacturing RVs is going to impact our industry for sure over the next handful of your decade probably, as we see the market really shift to embrace that. But yeah, it's I think campground owners are incredibly adaptable, and we've seen them get through all kinds of adversity in the past, and so I've nothing but confidence in them. So I think they are keen to embrace kind of what's coming, and where the market is dictating they need to pay attention to. And so we'll be talking a lot about those things this year as compared to last year. It was really about we were really addressing things like the labor market shortages and things like embracing automation and stuff to help with that. And then obviously in 2021, our big focus was, getting back open and getting functional and really harnessing the incredible amount of interest in the RV camping lifestyle for sure.
Awesome. Well, definitely looking forward to it. It's just under a month now. It's February 15th to the 16th, right?
Correct.
Make sure if you're not registered, if you're a Canadian park or an American park and want some extra education, which never ever hurt anyone, make sure you reach out to Kara. And then obviously if you're a supplier, sponsor, stuff like that, great opportunities to get in front of campground owners. Yes, it's virtual, but that doesn't matter. Like there's going to be people there who are going to be attending and ready to purchase. So that's what we're all looking for. So
some of the greatest benefits of going virtual, Brian and I have beaten this horse to death, but is that ability to all of our sessions are available recorded afterwards. So it really gives all that content that you're delivering and the exposure for sponsor businesses some more longevity over just the 1 or 2 days of an event like that. It also enables us to kind of do all kinds of communications throughout the year instead of just during the event dates. And obviously also virtual really expands accessibility to folks all over across, broader swaths of the continent. We actually have a really interesting session with some association representatives from other countries. So Germany and Australia, and those guys are going to join us to have some conversations about how their associations are supporting their members in other parts of the world, but also how the industry is looking for them as well. So those kinds of things I think are really beneficial due to the virtual format.
I need to know who those people are because we're about to expand into Europe. But anyway.
Okay. Deal.
Sure.
That's good.
Help them. Anyway, so let's blow some minds here. Let's have some fun. So Kara, I've shown this tool to, and there's going to be a couple we'll talk about, right? We only got about 10 minutes left. So it's going to be brief. But Kara, I've shown this tool to. There's also a couple we'll explore. And Duncan and Andrew have heard of this, maybe. Duncan's heard of this, but never played with it. Andrew, have you heard of ChatGPT?
Yep, we have. We're
never played with it? You have
it
messed around with it?
It was pretty impressive, actually. We were kind of blown away. I mean, just to get like a baseline down, you could kind of go in there. I mean, just talk about saving hours.
Totally.
Well, so this is the thing, right? And a lot of people, I'm going to share my screen here, and let's see if we can slot everybody to the side here so we can see this. So for those of you who don't know, ChatGPT, this program right here, is run by a company called OpenAI. And OpenAI was founded, I think, in 2015 by Elon Musk and Sam Altman, who Elon Musk, I think, stepped away from it for various reasons, still, I think, is part owner. But Sam Altman is now the CEO. And so they do a bunch of different things. You've maybe seen them on the news before for generating images and things like that. But this is something that they released on November 30th of last year. So it's still brand new, less than 2 months old, and it's still very much in its infancy. It's a beta. They're going to eventually charge for this thing. It's free right now. Use it while you can. It's absolutely unbelievable. So, Duncan, what is a question that you may have had as a campground owner, I don't know, recently, anytime you can remember, that you would have gone to Google to look up, or you would have called a lawyer or an accountant or a marketer or anybody that's not you to get the advice from? Doesn't matter what it is.
All right, let's see. For a marketer, it would be like, what are the best style of like waterfront images to be used? Do you want them up close? Do you want them far away? Like that kind of thing.
Right, so let's see. What are the best style of waterfront images to use on your website?
Sure.
As a campground who offers a variety of types of these and wants to use some that will increase bookings. And we'll see. It's been overloaded recently. We'll see how long this thing takes. Usually it's like instantaneous, but sometimes it's been timing out because for the last month and a half, well, literally everyone, it's all over TikTok, it's all over Instagram. Everybody's using this thing.
People are using it to write papers.
Yeah, they're worried kids will never write papers again because of this.
Well, but do they really need to is the question. But that's a whole different discussion. So we'll see if this thing goes here in a second. I'll see if I can refresh it and get it to go. But you know, it's just the ability for this thing. Like this thing has scraped the entire internet, or most of it, from all the way up through.
How did the Instagram Reels campground go for you? That chat right there.
Well,
proprietary information.
This is actually just a blog post I was experiencing with one of my writers, right? Where we ask it, and I'm sorry, I forget. Like, so it refreshed. So the question was, what are
the waterfront images for marketing to increase bookings?
Images to use for marketing a campground to increase bookings. And you're going to find this with the free version, and this is why they're releasing it as paid, is just because it continues to time out, and sometimes it'll say it's at capacity and on and on and on. I think they had 1 million users for this in the first 5 days. I don't even want to know what it is now. It's got to be probably 50 million, I would imagine.
I thought they were trying to cap it to like 10,000 at any given time, though. Is that?
Well, they did. They capped rate limit, but it's still like there's so many people who are trying to use it that sometimes this is obviously
do what we're doing and just query it until you get through.
Mm-hmm. Every time I try to log in, I get
there we go. Okay.
We're experiencing higher than normal volumes. We're at capacity. I can never get it.
So here we go. The best waterfront images to use for marketing a campground would be high-quality, visually striking photographs that showcase the natural beauty of the campground's surroundings and the amenities it offers. These might include pictures of crystal clear lakes or rivers, lush forests and mountains, and outdoor recreational activities such as swimming, boating, fishing, and hiking. It would also be beneficial to include images of the campground's amenities such as RV hookups, tent sites, cabins, and bathrooms, as well as images of families enjoying their stay at the campground. Additionally, it would be a good idea to include images that show the campground's proximity to other popular attractions in the area, et cetera, et cetera. That's not really what you're asking, though, right?
Not quite. Information. It gives you a jumping off point.
Right. And so you just have to, what you really have to learn with this thing, and most people are just using it for generic queries. And I've spent a ton of time studying this, but what you really have to learn is how to refine your question to actually engage with a photographer if you were talking to them, because they don't know campgrounds, they don't know your RV park. It's like a baby every time you open a chat with this, right? So you can say like, that's the wrong answer. I wanted to know specifically.
What a good guide for website photography, though, right? That's kind of what it gave you.
Totally.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's a great, if you've never had anything done before, it's just a great jumping off place to figure out what you want to put on there.
Definitely.
Whether a picture of a waterfront RV site should be close up, wide angle, or what else, Duncan?
Aerial.
Or aerial. When marketing a waterfront RV site, a combination of different types of images can be effective. A close-up image of the RV site can show the specific details and the amenities offered, such as the electrical and water hookups and the level of privacy and shade. A wide angle can give a sense of the overall layout of the campground and the RV site's location in relation to the waterfront and other amenities. And an aerial image can showcase the waterfront location and the surrounding landscape, providing a sense of the natural beauty of the area. It's important to note the final choice may depend on the specific target audience, the platform you're using for marketing, and the overall message you want to convey.
Yeah, that's wild. That right there is just a wild.
Right. You're not even seeing like everything. That's like literally, this is just the touch point, right?
Yeah.
So here's an example. Well, let's see what we got over here that I can show you. Oh, here. I did we had a debate about on Modern Campground about this, about using some of these AI tools in journalism in the future, right? And so I said at the top, can you write an argument for the use of AI in journalism from multiple diverse perspectives? Before you do so, state the characteristics of the various characters. Sure, here are 3 perspectives on the use of AI. A journalist who's been in the industry for many years, a media executive, a media ethicist, and I guess there's 4, an AI researcher. Please proceed. And then it gave an argument for the use of AI journalism, combining those views. And then I said, right from the media ethicist viewpoint, and it wrote and expanded on the media ethicist viewpoint of AI. Like, you can tell this to literally do anything.
Unbelievable. It
Like,
really is.
literally. What was I doing?
The other thing that's interesting about this is that other AI programs cannot even tell it's being written by another computer.
Right.
So they have these, anti-cheat programs and all that kind of stuff. And this thing is blowing so much of it out of the water that they can't even tell if it's real or not.
I think the way they'll catch them is they'll be the same, right? The essays will be highly similar, and
they won't.
They've tried that, and what they found is that if you prompt it right, it won't.
Exactly, and that's the whole key: is interacting as the AI, right? But we're talking about things that can help you save staff time, that can help you save. Even, like, I'm not suggesting you ever use something like this for legal advice, right? But you can use it as a basis, as a starting point. So, I'm a campground owner and I have a guest who is being unruly and will not observe quiet time. How can I quickly diffuse this situation and encourage the guest to be compliant? We'll see if it's pausing again.
This is gonna.
There we go. There are several steps you can take to diffuse the situation and encourage compliance. Approach the guest in a calm and professional manner and explain the campground's quiet time policy. Ask the guest to lower their noise level and be respectful. Remind them of the potential consequences, such as being asked to leave the campground. Offer a solution or compromise to the problem, such as suggesting an alternative activity or location. Document the incident and report it to the management if the guest continues to be non-compliant. Remember to stay calm and handle the situation with professionalism and respect. We've done two things here. This thing is literally unlimited with what you can do with it.
Yeah, I had it plan my agenda the other day because I had way too many to-do things on my list and didn't know where to start. Optimize my time schedule for me.
Yeah, we literally said it like, Kara has to do this, and it was a list of like 20
15 minutes, do this. For these 12 minutes, do this.
Yeah, it gave you 8 to 8:30, do this, 9 to 9:30, do that. Like, it will do anything that you ask it to do. So we have maybe time for one more. Give me something hard, Andrew. Anything that you can imagine you think it won't be able to solve.
Yeah. So we're rolling out a few kind of Class C specific RV pads that are located in kind of harder to reach spots, but they're cool, right? One's kind of elevated directly up over the river. We want to find the best way to market to Class C specific RVers.
Own an RV park and
25 feet and under.
Building some Class C motorhome sites.
Class B.
Oh, Class B?
Class B. Sorry.
At my campground. What is the best way to market these to a potential audience that might be interested?
I guess Class B or Class C is really, it's really 25
25-foot RVs is really what it is.
Can you be Class B? Well, let's just say RV sites. We'll see if it knows what a Class B is, right? Can you be specific and provide actionable details that will inform me of a target audience, places to communicate to them, and how best to create a welcoming atmosphere? Error occurred. Okay, well, I'm going to copy and paste that. Hold on.
I wonder if you could use it for like pricing optimization. You say, okay, I'm adding these 10 RV sites to this market. I'm targeting this demographic. Where should I price my site? Because if it skims every campground in that region or that location on the internet and tells you exactly where you should price, I mean, come on.
Well, so that's the limitation of it right now, is it doesn't actually connect to the internet.
Okay.
So it's only got data up through, I think, 2021. And some of the smaller things that it's involved, like it doesn't know who, for example, Modern Campground was and all those kinds of things. And now it's just completely timed out. So
I think we killed it.
It's all right. We're about to time out.
Yeah.
So but that's the thing is Microsoft is in talks to invest $10 billion more into this company. and they want to integrate this into Bing search by March.
Whew.
Reliable sources say. So that's the thing that I'm trying to say is this is not like you can literally like here's perplexity.ai, another, we're going to close with this, right? This other tool that it functions like a beta search engine. It's not nearly as good as Google yet, but you can say, Duncan, where's your campground? Find me
Waterford,
a campground.
Maine.
Near where?
Waterford, Maine.
Waterford, Maine. That is kid friendly and has 5-star reviews along with a swimming pool. And this is what the future of search is going to look like.
I don't see anything.
A gray screen?
Oh, hold on one second.
Your
I got to
screen
share.
is black.
Hold on, I got to share a different tab. That's my fault. So share. Okay. So this is perplexity.ai. Find me. You see my query at the top. Find me a campground near Waterford, Maine that is kid friendly, and then it just answers you. Papoose Pond Family Campground and Cabins is a kid friendly, and it didn't. Remember, I didn't ask it Papoose Pond.
Right.
It's a kid friendly campground with 5-star reviews and a swimming pool, and then it cites where it got the information from: TripAdvisor, and Papoose Pond Camping.
Yeah, the
It has been
footnotes.
highly rated by RV Life and Campspot.com and is recommended as one of the best family campgrounds in Maine by Maine Camp Rentals.
Camp.
And then you can view a detailed response too. Now, this isn't always right yet. It just came out like a month ago. It has been rated 4.5 out of 5 stars on TripAdvisor, 8.3 out of 10 stars on Camp. Like, that's the future of search. As soon as Bing turns that on, like, it will take years for people to adopt it. But if you don't think Bing will beat Google with the convenience of that as people figure that out, that's a better answer.
It's also going to change the way, because it's only giving you one answer. It's not giving you a Google results with a million.
And that's the thing. If I do the same thing, you guys can see the Google thing, right? If I do the same thing on Google, I don't really have
you get a list.
I have a list, and I have to go click through them and see what's happening and look at like it. And answer is convenience,
right?
And so this
one
is
answer.
This is so much closer than people think it is.
Wow.
I mean, it's here.
What was that last one? I've never heard of that one.
It's the last one is perplexity.ai. And it's built using the same technology that powers ChatGPT, albeit a slightly older version. But that's and that's what Bing will look like with ChatGPT is integrated with it. And they're pushing to do this. They're putting it in Excel. They want to put it in Word. They want to put it in everywhere. And this is going to happen really, 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 really fast. So
what's like your help function in Excel and Word? You're saying
it'll be your new version.
I'm talking about like here's what
the little paper clip. I remember that.
Yeah. Except it'll be useful.
You can do that with that ChatGPT thing now. You can tell it to act as an Excel spreadsheet and write a formula, and it will write a formula for Excel for you.
I also learned it writes HTML code for you.
It will write HTML code. I had that do that for Carrie yesterday.
Yeah.
And then you can instruct it to ask and answer questions too. So we did that with Kara. We were building out a page for this new CCRVC board, and I said, "You're a website developer, blah 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 blah. We need a table that has 3 columns. Here's the title of the first, second, third. The information will contain the name of the person, their title, and their affiliated association. You will ask me each time for the name of the person. There will be a total of 21 people, and then only after that you will generate the HTML code. Do you understand? Yes, I understand. Can I please have the first name?"
Wow.
It's crazy.
That's unbelievable.
It's coded a WordPress
and it'll make things
plugin.
convenient.
It'll code a WordPress plugin. Like, it's not always flawless. And again, it's all about how you prompt it. But if you don't think this thing is coming to a speaker that Microsoft is going to release, it's going to destroy Alexa and Google and will truly be valuable. If you don't think it's coming to a robot that patrols an automated campground that can talk and interact to a guest and diffuse problems on its own, this is very, very quick happening.
Yeah, well, if that's the case, then you definitely need to look at what your infrastructure backbone is in your park.
Yeah.
That's
the amount of bandwidth that it would require to operate an autonomous robot with video, with running a cloud-based artificial intelligence. You need to be aware that, you have to have infrastructure to support some of this stuff.
I'm not saying the robots are going to be in campgrounds this year, but I'm saying that the AI is here, and this very much exists, and this is only a beta. I think GPT-3 is what it's based off of, and it's been released for 2 years. they've said they haven't said. Everybody who seems to pretend they know on YouTube thinks they're going to release GPT-4 within the first quarter of this year. And if you think you're blown away with what ChatGPT just did, wait until that thing comes out.
I think it's at this stage, it's important. If I were still an operator, I would be paying close attention to tools like Perplexity that are providing one answer and being strategic about my park being the one answer. That's where I would start.
I've said that for years with voice assistants. I didn't imagine a thing like ChatGPT was as close as it was. I didn't honestly think that. But I've talked about voice assistants to people at many conferences who will tell you before. That's exactly what I said. The future of search is going to be exactly what we typed in, and it's going to give you an answer.
One answer.
And if you are not that answer, you're in trouble.
That's been the biggest eye opener for me lately, is that it's here and people are already using it. And so if you don't know about it, here it is for you, because it's time to get ready.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Save a lot of time already. Construction RFPs and stuff like that.
I mean, you can, I mean, it literally knows everything about everything. So anyway, we're out of time. We're 6 minutes over. I appreciate you guys. We probably, again, I could talk on this for the next 48 hours straight, but super exciting times we live in. Just, it's coming. It's not even coming anymore. Even I haven't caught up to that, right? It's here. And you can use it, and you can save so much time and so much energy and so much headache and so much Googling. And you can get, again, you have to fact check some of this stuff. Nobody's saying it's always right, but our world's going to change. So I'm excited to see where it goes. I think it'll be a lot of good, but we'll have to expand on that in another episode. So thank you guys. I appreciate you joining us. We'll see you next week for our RV industry focus show, and take care. Thanks.
See ya.
Thanks for watching this episode of MC Fireside Chats, hosted by Brian Searle and Kara Sismadia. Have a suggestion for a future show, or want to see your campground or company as part of an episode? Email us at hello@moderncampground.com. Join us next week for another episode. And don't miss the latest outdoor hospitality news and commentary from around the world at moderncampground.com.